Hey, what's up? We should be live. Please let me know you can hear me well because I'm doing a bit of a weird setup. And when I mean a bit of a weird setup, I actually mean a completely different setup. So let's see if it works. Okay, good. I can see myself, which is good. Let me mute myself. Oh, okay. So thank you so much for anyone who's here. Here I am. So let me show you. Can I show you what I'm looking at? Let me think about it and figure it out. So anyway, new computer right here. I can actually show you. Look at this beast of a computer. I know it's hard to see, I know, but it's a PC. It's my new PC. It's arrived, and so things actually work decently well in terms of the connection. The quality is okay. Like I'm looking at my own video, it is okay, which is nice that I can even look at my own video. Let's see here. So let's use in the house. Hey, MB. Hey, Pashkaline, how are you? Hey, Miss Rainbow 228. Hey, DJ Drop. So I thought we'd do like a fun, relaxing live stream. I'll just answer a bunch of questions. We can do reactions, watch some cool videos together, or whatever you want, really. Pierre, how are you? Hey, Liron, you may be in Israel, but you never guess where I am. Where are you, Pierre? Have you told me before and I don't remember? I'm not sure. Let me know. Your name is very French sounding, but I don't think I can guess. So I'll wait for you to let me know. Hey, Logan, how are you? By the way, Logan, I have to show you. So, as you all know, I'm working on my manga. So far, I've written this thick thing here. So all of this, and it's very symbolic. Like the design is very simplified because it's just a draft, but it has all the dialogues and everything. And I think it's gonna be really good. I'm gonna let my read it, and a bunch of other people will see. We'll get some feedback and see how it goes. But I want to write a really good story and then draw it, which is going to be the hardest part. But yeah, hey Manech, how are you, my friend? Hope everything is going well. Hey JTT, or is it Tigera 2? I'm not sure. Let me know. Stan, how are you? So I have two huge monitors, which is much more convenient than the Mac. I have one here, one there, which is just great. Let me refresh this window for a second. What do I have here? So yeah, I want to show you. Okay, let me try and show you a kind of behind the scenes here. So this is two monitors, right? Here's a monitor within a monitor. And it's much more convenient. Finally, I can look, I can see stuff. What's up with my camera? There we go. Okay, good. So yeah, I don't know. Do you see any difference in quality? I'm not sure if it should show because it's the same camera, the exact same camera. It's just that my connection's faster. I think it looks a little better. I think so. Hey, Kathy, how are you? Hey, Raymond, how are you doing? So Raymond, were you in yesterday's live stream for the group? I don't remember. If it was you or a different Raymond, let me know. That was really fun. I'm going to tell you more about it, everyone. Don't worry. Hey, Delia, thank you so much for being here. Hey, Plumpy, how are you doing? Margarita, hello. My mouse is it's just terrible. It really is terrible. And so I wanted to add my usual mouse. Guess what? There's no Bluetooth on this PC. I need to buy a stick, a dongle to have Bluetooth, which is ridiculous. But I'm so used to a laptop, like the concept of a laptop, and not to mention a Mac, my MacBook. So it's a bit of a weird kind of adjustment period. It's going to be Adele Cantoro. How are you? Thank you, Logan. Hey, Jill. Hey, Robin. Good morning. Even the scrolling on the mouse is the other way around, the reverse of what I'm used to. Still couldn't find a way to change that, which is ridiculous. Oh, Pierre, hospital. I broke my ankle badly on the way to work and had to have surgery. So for once, I can stay up. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear, but at least you can join us here. And yeah, that's going to be the one, I guess, upside. But sorry to hear. That sounds terrible. I'm hoping you'd feel better soon. So a broken ankle, how long is that for recovery? It has to be at least like 3 to 4 weeks, I guess, if it's broken. John, how are you? Hope everything is going well. Let me know how things are on your end. Raymond, my question to you is, when you start your day in painting, do you moisten your palette, then just use the water collected in your brush, or continue to add water? I usually continue adding, because usually you'll need more water than you think. So I usually end up adding more and more and more, actually. So yeah. Yeah, it was you. Okay, cool. Did you get to watch the? Let me see if you answered that. Did you get to watch the live stream once we were actually able to get it to work? Because it was a bit of a technical nightmare yesterday, and I was still with my MacBook, so it's not a computer even; it's something else. Neil, thank you for your watercolor technique videos. I have only just started, and I find them very helpful. Greetings from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you so much, Neil. Yeah, I'm so happy I could help. Wait a second, my mouse is terrible. I have to adjust. Lydia, how are you? Shalom to yourself. So I think what we can do today is taking some questions, talk about watercolor. I feel like taking, and you notice, like taking a bit of a, well, you can't notice, but I feel like taking a break from the usual videos for a while. I just feel like I want to do something a little different. So I'm gonna figure out how to do that. I did that with the shorts, the short videos, short format, which was very fun. But I do want to figure out how I can make it a little more interesting and unique of an angle, right? So I've shown you a few of the works I've been working on, and mainly trying to get my style to be more about me and more like the thing that is very personal. Like no one else paints like this. So I'll see when I feel like I can actually document this process too, because right now I really need to focus to do that. So I just didn't get the chance to actually film something like that. But once I do, it's going to be awesome, because it's just the result is it's miles of difference. I can actually show you again the two cooks. You've seen those. So yeah, that was a really good stepping stone towards that, being able to do that. 7 weeks. They've gone over to the dark side PC and did. Yeah, definitely PC with the fans and the lights and everything. Honestly, yeah. So I was looking into. So my MacBook just became really hard to work with after the last update. It's from 2017. So it's just annoying. Honestly, it's just. Can I lower this more? That's the lowest it'll go. Oh, okay. That's too bad. Maybe I can. Yeah, that's too. It doesn't work. Let me try, because I have a different monitor and it's much taller, of course. Can I get it to stay where I want it to? Oh yeah, I can do this probably. Let's see. There we go. Okay, yeah, things are just much more convenient with the PC. I already feel it. Like Mac has the whole, it's just visually it's much more refined and good looking, but there are a lot of advantages to this that I just start to discover just now. So Raymond watched you this morning on YouTube prior to this. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great. Yeah, I think there were some good bits there. So yesterday I did a live stream for a group called Follow Your Brush. Pam may be here. I don't know. I don't think so. But Pam, you've seen her in the live streams too. She wanted to do an interview, and it was really, really fun. There are some gems from there, I think, because usually in interviews, if I get asked questions I'm not normally asked, it brings something interesting to the table, something that people aren't used to hearing. So yeah, I will probably take some snippets from it and share them, on Instagram and other places. I was thirsty. It's crazy how I can see the live stream, see the chat, see everything organized. So much more convenient. Laura, how are you doing? Melbourne. Okay. Logan, will your manga have lots of chapters which you continue making, or be like a single book? It was supposed to be a one shot, one story. I originally thought to myself, oh, it's going to be 60 pages, something like that. I wrote about 100 and I have 50 more. So it's not a one shot, but it's not a continuous thing. I have a story start to finish. That was the main thing that was a must for me. I had to have something that I know how to finish. Otherwise, I don't want to disappoint people, and I don't want to do something I'm not as skilled at. So it's probably going to end up being about 10 chapters. I kind of divided it to about 20 to 25, maybe 19 to 25 pages each, and it works really well. It works really, really well. So I'm now on chapter 6. I'm just writing, honestly. I'm writing it like a one shot, and whenever I feel like there's a good cut, I say, okay, end of chapter, beginning of new chapter. So there'll probably be around 10, 11 chapters, something like this. The more I write, the more I figure out to make things happen, I have to add something. It's very challenging. Like in practice, in more practical terms, in order for a plot point to happen, if you write a story, things need to happen within it, and there's logistical issues, and it takes time to show all of that. If you want to actually show it in the in a comic form, in a comic book form, or manga, like panels and everything, it just ends up being longer than you'd expect usually. Massimo with one of my favorite names. Good afternoon from Italy. Thank you so much. Pierre, it looks crystal clear though. Yeah, thank you. Alec, good evening, everyone from Philippines. Thank you for being here. Stan, what's a manga? It's just a comic, like American comic books, only Japanese. So the main difference is that manga, the Japanese comic book, is usually black and white. The style is a little more simplified in some aspects, but as detailed or even more detailed in other aspects. So it's a very interesting thing. Naruto is an anime that started as a manga. Death Note is a very famous one. Attack on Titan is a very famous one. So it's very interesting. I feel like the facial expressions, especially in manga, are more expressive than Western comic, like hero comic books. But on the other hand, some other aspects are as detailed, like backgrounds, depending on the type. There's everything, every genre. It's usually more than not just superheroes. There's everything, like detective, love stories, depressing stories. There's everything in manga, dramas, whatever. Logan, cool, good to have a contained story. Yes, exactly. That was my main plan. I want to actually finish it. One thing I will say about the manga is it's going to be free, probably. I'm going to post it everywhere because I know the way most people read is just go online, find the manga they want, even if it's pirated. So I'm just going to put it everywhere. I prioritize this time audience and actually having people read it over making money from it and selling it. So it's just going to be probably for free on its own dedicated website, on Webtoons, on a bunch of stuff. Hey, Lollipop, you haven't missed too much. I'm going to put it everywhere. And then if someone wants to buy it, I'll consider doing like more of a premium version where it's a book and you can buy it as a book or something like this. We'll have to figure it out. But the main thing is going to be free. I just want people to read it, honestly. Hey, Fuad. Hi, Rhoda, everyone from Baku. I have a good friend who was born in Baku. That's cool. Lollipop, yeah, hey, welcome aboard. You haven't missed too much. Yeah, one more thing that I said we'd do today. So it could be fun if you have any videos you want us to watch together. I can definitely do that. So let me know. Feel free to share a link, like painting processes, stuff like that. That could be fun. In the meantime, I want to show you this painting, the famous OCD painting. I'll show you because I think it shows something interesting. And while we're at it, I also got my sketchbook. So this is the infamous painting. I talked about it a lot. It's a small one, as you can see. It's 6 by 9 inches, and this was painted very much in an approach that is very slow, very slow. Let's see if it can focus on it up close. I'm not sure. I can probably do it manually, but there we go. Okay, so this, obviously, we were there okay, thank you, camera, for just dropping on me like that. Okay, it's probably going to happen again in a few moments, but that's fine. Let's do this. I'm still learning how to organize it, but I'll find a better solution. So we were obviously there in that restaurant months ago. Let me actually pause the live video because it bounces to my side. And because I was there, and because it's a bit more unique in terms of the highlights are blue, it brought out something very interesting to me technique wise. I just was more focused when I worked at it. I worked slowly, I worked more deliberately, and I feel like that's definitely a step in the right direction for making my paintings more of my own. And I really look forward to doing more of these. I can't really tell you what it is. Is it the way the values or it's not technical. It's something, it's more spirit related, because I actually was in a completely different mindset when painting this. Thank you so much, Fuad. So, and you can see the nuances of technique here. They are better than a lot of my stuff, I think. It really is a better painting. Now, when I tell you, and this is one of the biggest things I tell people, to make the painting your own, that's what I mean. Because at some point, you really would benefit from painting something that is very much you. The thing is, it's hard to know, especially when you get started, what does it even mean to paint something that is you. It's more of a journey of discovery. But if you just paint from tutorials and other people's reference and suggestions, like my videos, at some point you're either going to get sick of it, or you'll just you feel the need to refresh things, to change things up. And that's when you should probably either go outside, look at the view and paint it as you see it, or take a photo of your own, paint it from that, or a million other things, but making it your own. That's a big thing in my opinion, right? By the way, let me know in the chat how your week has been. Mine's been interesting. I went through some rough times, just some mental stuff. A lot of internal changes that now ripple outside. They have ripples that go outside, and I have to figure out what's the right thing for me to do. So a lot of these kinds of things. But yeah, something that happens once in a while. Monica, how are you? Good morning, Liron, and everyone from New Jersey, US. Thank you once again for it. Much appreciated. Lollipop, what kind of painting did you use recently, or when you started? What kind of painting? Do you mean painting or paint? Or do you mean like tutorials? What kind of tutorials I watched? Let me know. Let me know, and I'll be happy to. It reminds me of a bunch of fun stuff from the past I used to paint from. John Liron, when painting an urban scene, you will use perspective lines to help with scale, size, and proportions. But how do you work out size, scale, proportions with an aerial composition? So actually, it's easier because you don't have to be as accurate, but the same principles apply. So one of the biggest principles is how things become smaller, right, as they go farther from us. So every aspect of the landscape, or an aerial composition, or do you actually mean from, okay, so here's my question to you. When painting, do you mean aerial like from top to bottom, or do you mean like a big wide scene that shows a lot of that, but you see the horizon, right? If you mean like an actual aerial photo composition, that's something else. Let me know, because that's completely different. That's almost like painting a still life, because I did paint a few of these scenes. It's interesting, actually, with an aerial composition. Yeah, so just let me know if you mean like an area, like just a wide landscape with mountains receding into the background, or literally aerial. If it's aerial, I would say it's more like a still life. You just have to measure and compare and all of that. Now, if it's a wide scale landscape with mountains and everything, you use the same principle of things that recede away from you become smaller. So the distance between the mountain ridges, for example, will exponentially become smaller. The distance between fields will be squeezed more tight, more squeezely together. So for example, let's say you have the closest mountain ridge here, and then the next one's here. The next one's going to be here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And it happens fast. It's like when you look at power lines that go into the distance. So you have, let's say, one that's really close, then another one. So one that's really close, another one that's farther, but then the next one is closer and closer and closer and closer. So it's that kind of a thing. Which reminds me, I actually shared it yesterday. Let me show you. So I've been, one blind spot, something I haven't practiced yet is, I did a lot of people sketches and figures and obviously views and cityscapes, but I never really put a lot of emphasis on combining the two together. And I actually filmed something for you, just the raw footage. I still haven't decided what to do with it, but I actually filmed a study process, and this I think is one of the best examples right here of how to utilize perspective and then place figures into it accurately. Let's see if it's going to focus. Let's see. Okay, it's not going to focus. Don't worry, I'm going to upgrade my webcam to at some point. But you see how these people are built like robots almost, which helps me put them into the scene. Let me show you another good example of this kind of a thing. Or I don't have it here. I have something similar. So I showed this in my stories. So this here was the original one, and I rotated it from imagination to this one and this one, which is extremely hard to do. So that's another example of just working out not just how to draw a figure, but how to do it in the context of the environment. Now let's see, I see you answered. So, hey MH, how are you? Wait a second, let me move this aside. So you said, yes, high above city looking down, and the other, yeah, okay. So again, that concept, so if it's a cityscape and you see the rooftops receding, everything in the distance gets tighter together, like much closer, right? So you'll have don't I have like a good example? I have nothing on this computer. Maybe on my phone I'll have a good example. Let's see. Because I should have, even on the gallery, let me see here. I'll just show you on my phone. I think that'll be the easiest. Let's see. So even landscape paintings may show this well. Landscapes, no, because it really will depend on the view at the end of the day. Cityscapes. Let's see if I can find a good cityscapes example. Yeah, this is a good example. Okay, so this painting right here with the cars. See the first row of cars, and then the next one, it will never focus. Oh, there we go. First row, and then look at the second one. It's farther, right? But then it gets more tightly squeezed together. From this point up, it's all just crammed together, okay? You can also see it with the, right here actually, with the street lamps. One behind it, but as they recede, they become more tightly knit together. Let me see if I have another example of this. Here we go, this painting. So here, every building is distinct, but as we move farther and farther, you'll notice how everything is kind of, come on. Whatever. Everything is kind of crammed together. Like here in the distance, everything is together, tight. So that would be the main way to approach this. Just use the same basic principles. Here's another good example. See cars, and then as they recede, they just become... Force my camera to focus. There we go. Up here, they really are close together, okay? So that would be the main thing. High above city, looking down, and the others like paintings. Yep. Now, again, if it's just above and it's you see just the buildings as squares and circles, then it will be like a still life. Again, just place things. Let's go back a bit because I skipped Massimo and Plumpy Lump. I'm constantly struggling with values. Do you have some good advice? So my Watercolor Realism course talks about values in depth. If you don't have it, you may want to check it out. And the frustration-free Watercolor course also goes over it because it's really important to me. But generally speaking, if you go over to the channel, just watch the value scale videos. First, practice mixing different values because you may not even be proficient enough in mixing the value you want, right? So you work on accuracy and you just try, let's see if I can go gradual from light to dark and have a very incremental transition from light to dark, and then you want to practice the other way around, from dark to light. The technique is simple, right? You add more paint, darker, more and more paint, darker, darker, and so on. Or the other way around, you start with very thick paint, you add just a tiny bit of water, goes lighter, tiny bit of water, goes lighter, and maybe do like a 5 value scale or a 6 or a 10. I go through this in depth in the Watercolor Realism course. I show exactly like how to do the increments in tens and in it's just really useful. So you may want to check that out. Do that in color too after a while, and it'll help. Now, the other side of it is to actually see things accurately and match them. So for example, this is very dark, this is a little lighter, this is a little darker, this is a little darker, start seeing things. This side is lighter than this side is darker than this side because it's in the light more, and so on. Once you do that, you paint black and white. So you take a photo in black and white, you try and recreate the values you see, and you try to look at them as shapes. I actually have a good video on the topic with posterization. You can edit the photo, so look for reference photo, how to edit reference photo. You'll find these videos. I show you how to make it black and white, make it posterized, so simple values, and you just try and recreate the values. And here's what you do. You take your painting, and after you're done, you compare the two, and you see where you were inaccurate. So maybe you painted my hair too light. Maybe you painted it too dark. Maybe you went way too dark with this shadow when it's just a touch darker. Okay, and then you start a feedback loop. That's what I would say. I hope that makes sense. Plumpy Lump, do you think you will transition your style or process rather to the one used on the chef painting? You seem exceptionally proud of that piece. Yeah, thank you so much. So it's very hard to tell. I'll switch to this side or this style or that style. The lights are beautiful, and I can just stare at them in the PC. That's really cool. So it's not going to necessarily be this. It's going to be the way and the mental place I was when I painted the chef painting. See? So it could manifest as this kind of a painting, as that kind of a painting, but it's the headspace you're at, funny enough. I hope that makes sense. Is that John Box? I don't know what it refers to. Hey, Richard, how are you? Laura, Liron, I'm determined to pick up a brush this weekend after months of not. We're here. Report back to me once you do it. I need to do some finger stretches. This finger is so tired from typing with my thumbs. It's so bad. But yeah, report back to me once you have. You don't have to do anything fancy. Even if you just take a piece of paper and you scribble, do a scrambled egg of a painting. It's perfect. You got it, John. I hope that answers it. It's like it's a very complex technique once you actually start breaking it down. But at some point, these principles become very, very internalized. So do you know how sometimes when you look at a building from the front and you see all the, like a tall building and there's tons of windows, right? The windows are rectangular. But when you look at the building at an angle, so let's say this is the wall and you look at it at an angle, those rectangles turn into thin strips. Windows are just strips. That's something that happens because of the angle and perspective. So once it gets so internalized, you can kind of guesstimate how wide or narrow or how close objects are together, or how to make them smaller in the distance and larger in the foreground. You can kind of do it intuitively and become more accurate at it with time. Eliava, how are you? Pam, good morning. Got my coffee. Thank you so much for the interview. It was real fun. I'm happy we got it to work eventually. You asked some good questions, actually. Things I haven't thought of in a while. Drummy X, or is it Drum YX? What do you think about redoing paintings more times? Yeah, I'm all for it. If you feel like redoing something that you want to improve upon, or you feel like you didn't get the best result, or you want to try out a different route, that's a great idea. I'm all for it. It was very hard for me in the past. Now I'm kind of more okay with it. But yeah, I think it's great. If you have the drive to do it, I think you should go with that. I really do. In art, generally speaking, if you feel like doing something, you should probably try it. Like one thing I'm feeling like doing right now is trying out animation. Yesterday, actually, Pam asked me about how I was, in school, and if I was drawing as a kid. I think it was about me drawing as a kid, and I'm like, yes, I have. And now that I think about it, I used to do the whole little animation in the corners of my notebooks. I would do like stick figures running, and when you do this, flip through animation. And animation is something I haven't even thought of in such a long time. I want to try it out. Maybe I can do a watercolor animation. Maybe every frame is actually a painting, which is crazy. So just another example of how my style, quote unquote, develops. It may be even a different approach to the same medium, which is really, really fun. Let's see. It's all in a strong drawing and values. Yeah, colors very much third place, though colors can actually have a really strong influence on a lot of aspects of the scene and of the impression. So I wouldn't discount them this fast as I would maybe in the past. But yeah. For Liron, is it your profession or your passion? Both. I'm very fortunate because very early on I decided that I'm just gonna do everything I can to become an artist and to work for myself. And it took a long time to make it sustainable, but I do feel like in the last 4 years I've been really on a nice roll. Selling mostly the courses and the teaching. The paintings are secondary, though I do sell paintings, of course. It's been really fun. It's been really fun, and I'm very grateful for that, to be able to just wake up, make art, make it my profession. And I would encourage a lot of people who, if someone has that thought in mind, like, is it a profession? Can it be a profession? Is it something I can do? I don't know. I'm not saying you have these thoughts, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, I would encourage anyone who has these thoughts to try, because it is possible. Very much so. Lillian, so good advice. Thank you so much. Stan Miller, great on values. Yep, Stan is huge, not just on values. I think his colors are very much on point. His educational methods are really on point. He's really good at that. Like, the way he teaches things is very unique and very to the point and very accurate. And I think the way he interprets shapes is brilliant. Really is. Yeah, Laura, I'm gonna keep an eye out for an update. Ayan, how are you? I'm really struggling to leave the gaps for the lighter regions and put proper colors for the first wash. How should I approach it? Should I struggling to leave gaps for the lighter regions? So you actually have a few ways around it. You know what's funny? Sometimes it's just not the right decision to paint around lighter areas. Sometimes it will be. So here's my question to you. Do you paint around paper white areas and then fill them in, or do you, because it will depend on what you do. To me, sometimes it's much more effective to paint either a first wash that covers everything and kind of sets the tone, so that I feel like what I leave behind when I paint around shapes is not too harsh, like a paper white harsh, because that sometimes can stick out, especially if you then go back to that area and fill it up with more paint. Anyway, so why not do it in the first wash? Now, another thing that could work for you is to paint the highlights, which is something I don't do nearly as much as I should. Painting the highlights first, just the highlights, not a wash covering everything, just the highlighted areas with their colors. So, for example, for this painting, it would be me painting these blue areas where the highlights are meant to be, almost as if I would be painting using an opaque medium where you just paint the highlights last, right? Almost the same way. So if you do that, one interesting thing that can happen is you'll know you'll know better where you're gonna paint, so that it will be easier to do that. The thing you're struggling with, leaving those gaps, right? Now, one more level to it, and I actually talked about it yesterday too with Pam. I had a very hard time in the beginning controlling the brush. So like when you apply pressure to the paper, the brush obviously is squeezed against it. It was very hard for me to realize where the edge of the brush is going to be, right? Exactly where it's going to end. So that's something that will come with time. So if you're struggling on a more mechanical level with that, I would say practice filling in shapes. I have a few good videos on like just abstract kind of exercise of filling in different shapes. So that could help you too. Put proper colors to the first wash. Starting to leave gaps for a lot of reasons. So yeah, colors for the first wash. That's interesting. So this, I'll need to see what you're talking about. So if you can send me an example for the colors in particular, because it will depend on the reference photo and what you want to achieve with it, of course. So yeah. Drumway X, I think AI, will have some problems making credible watercolor paintings. What do you think about AI art? What's funny? So here's what I think about AI art. It's still very limited, and it can't for now tell a story. So right now, when I'm thinking about doing my comic, my manga, I thought of getting some inspiration from DALL-E and Midjourney, these AI kind of machines. So I did a few experiments, and I searched for keywords and styles that I want to do and kind of use these as a generative tool. I didn't get almost anything that was useful. Like maybe 1 out of 10 was useful for me. So it's not even good for that. Now, if you just want a let's say semi-realistic 3D picture of a panda riding a giraffe, yes, these AI tools can do that. But can you tell it where they're headed and what they're looking towards and their facial expressions and have that nuance to the story you want to tell? Not yet. Can I put a bunch of keywords and get the perfect background for a scene and match it to the characters? Not yet. It probably will be possible, but not yet. In addition to that, it's just very limited. I would say, not even in addition to that. It's just so limited. Now, I haven't seen the watercolor style yet, so to comment specifically on that, I don't know. I did see some good, tools, not Photoshop, but other tools that mimic watercolor actually really well. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But there's one thing that people forget about art, and that is there's still the aspect of wanting to create art. So I'm not worried about AI because there will always be people who want to do this as a hobby, just the act of, or skill or a craft, the act of painting something. Even if a machine can do it almost as good as you, it's still something you want to experience and you want to do. So I'm not worried about it at all, honestly. I still want to paint on my own, right? And yeah, people can use AI and then claim it as their own. So the skill, and you can use an AI tool to give you inspiration, then paint based on that, right? I think at some point we'll have to embrace AI as just something that is a part of the art world too. And talking about AI, my manga is going to have a lot of AI stuff in it. So look forward to it. A bit dystopic, but just a bit. Pierre, he's so advanced, paint with huge flat brush holding paper. One thing that he made, that's so funny. I love how he puts a squiggle square on his watch and just matches his skin color. That's so good. I haven't seen many people do that. So it's funny. Yeah, he's so good. And actually, the flat brush is very useful. He made me want to try it out, and I tried it and had a lot of fun with it. So I'd say, if anything, it could be an advantage. Now, I actually have a glass of soda here left from earlier, so I'm going to enjoy it. With all of the hard work we've gone through, I felt really like spoiling myself, eating a bunch of crap. But I got back to exercising at least, so that's good. Fuad, what time of day are you most productive for painting? Interesting. So just pure... Here's the thing. Morning, as early as possible. Let's see, starting from 6 or 7 a.m. But I'm usually very tired as soon as I wake up. But once I get up, I'm the most awake, productive, creative. So if I'm honest with myself, if I can have the first thing I do in the day create, is better. Now, for painting, especially based on reference photos, which is an activity I don't need to think in order to do. So I can listen to music, unlike solving math problems, which maybe is possible. I don't know. It's an activity I don't have to think about too much unless I really want to dive deeper into the process, which is part of making it more my own, by the way. But generally speaking, I can do it really well in the evening too. I can paint all day long. In the evening, I can still paint really, really well, and even into the night. Now, something like writing the story for my manga, I do the best first thing in the morning. So activities that require a lot of thought, ones I can never listen to music as I do the best first thing in the morning. So the best thing for me is the first hour of the day, hour and a half, do the most creative and thought demanding thing, which makes sense. Noon and afternoon, I get really tired, so it's more about logistical stuff, editing videos, things that don't require not really creativity, maybe a bit of thought, but not really that much. And towards the evening, if I worked all day, I'm tired in the evening, I'll do dumb stuff, dumb logistical stuff. Even stuff like paying taxes and stuff like that, right? Which is part of work. What can you do? Or even dumb things like scanning paintings, right? That's a good time. Scanning and listing new paintings on the gallery. Evening is perfect for that. But then past evening, let's say I still have energy in me, I can be very creative when it comes again to painting, sketching from observation, all of these kinds of things. So I think building the day in a way that is very suitable to how you personally work is pretty much a must if you don't want to suffer throughout the day. So it's funny. I hope that answers it. Laura, any suggestions on how to get past the frustration of not being able to paint like I used to? Oh yeah, actually, I've seen many people talk about it recently. So here's my take on it. I think it's a fairly unique one. Not being able to paint like you used to. So if we're being frank here, are you really not able to, or did you just take a break and you're rusty? You're still able to paint like you used to, because at some point you will be able to, right? So just semantics, you're still able to probably. Now, can you flip a switch and just go from rusty, can't, to I can do it perfectly? Can you do that? Can you force your mind into doing that? For most people, no. So I think even the thought of this is a waste of time. So what I would say is, this is what you are presented with today. This not being able to do it. This is what you get outside of your control. The one thing you can probably do is do the same thing you did back when you could paint, which is just to paint, right? So I think people have a tendency to be very reactive to emotions, negative ones, positive ones, everything, but negative ones are felt a little more, I guess. We dance with them, we tango with them, when all we need to do is just accept them. So whatever you got today, which is a challenge, it's just part of life. Life is about being good and then suddenly failing, doing a few bad paintings. That's just a part of it, right? It's a part of the artistic journey. The one thing that you can do is focus on what you actually can do, which is paint. Now, I'm not saying you need to accept defeat and roll over and that's it. That's your skill from now on. Not at all. I think that being very reactive to these emotions and analyzing them and thinking about them and putting that label on them of I'm now not able to, or I'm rusty, right? That label, rusty. That is very dangerous, because it's literally us making stuff up that weren't there. All that was there is one day, one example of you having a challenge, because maybe you haven't painted for months. So of course you're going to have a challenge for like once or twice. But I would argue, if you just accept it and you don't have to do anything to accept it. You just have to do the same thing you always did, which is paint. You just paint. it will go. You will move past that, right? I think there's a tendency to romanticize the past also, especially if you took a break, and to feel like I was so good back then, I could do this and that, when in reality, maybe we're, overestimating our skills or underestimating our current skills, right? I hope that makes sense. That's kind of the way I think about these things. Sometimes the mere feeling isn't as bad as what we make it to be by tangoing with it. Whereas you just, of course, you're going to have times where you don't paint something you love. Of course, that happens. But what's the meaning of that failure? Is the meaning of it failure, or is it just another painting you did? Think about it. It's just another painting. Someone else may see it and think it's the most brilliant piece of art they've ever looked at, right? We make up all of these labels of this was a failure, this was a success, this is my style, this is not my style, this is what I want to do, this is not what I want to do. It's all made up. The only thing you have, really the only thing you have, is this very moment right now. Tomorrow doesn't exist too. Saying I'm not saying you say it, but people say I'll do it tomorrow, or yesterday was. The past is just a memory. It doesn't exist anywhere, and the future doesn't exist anywhere. Guess what? All you have is this brush, the paper, and this very moment. That's the one thing you'll always have. That's the only place you have control over. If you just sit down and paint, do the thing that works, you'll get over it. I'm sure you will. I hope that makes sense. Sylvia, hey Liron, hello from London. It's the first time I managed to catch a live chat. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, I went on a rant, and then by the time I got to your message, hopefully you're still listening to this. That's funny. Bit of nose running on me. But thank you so much for being here, Sylvia. Very happy to have you on board. You got it, Ayan. Thank you for your question. Fuad, in my opinion, fewer colors and more tones look more interesting, like in this example, the restaurant. Yep. Sometimes a lot of colors can look really good too. You just need to know how to pull it off. Pam, on the second wash, light first wash and then go darker, similar to negative painting. On the second wash, light first wash, then go darker. On the second wash, I'll usually just go darker and paint negatively around everything I want to leave light, which I either painted as a first wash, or I painted just different, like an underpainting, or the actual lighter areas. And you can do, you can first go a little light and keep doing wet and wet, right? That's something I'll do when I want to get a blurry edge. But sometimes, and this is something we talked about, I think, yesterday too, it's very hard to explain exactly why I'm doing something. The one thing you can do is to experiment and try out a lot of techniques and see what works for you, kind of on a discovery kind of way, right? Because sometimes I'll do a pre-wet an area, even in the second wash, to get a smooth edge, and I don't even know why I did it this way. I just wanted to try it out. I wanted to give it a go like this, instead of just painting. Like, why do I paint a shape and then blend its edges versus pre-wet and put in a shape with blended edges? There's no math formula for these things. And I think the best paintings like this one are the ones where you just shut it off and you just work based on instinct. No one can explain that. There's skill, there is preference, there's a plan, but no one can explain the things you do real time and the information you get from a possibly a higher source, But yeah. Michelle, good morning. Thank you for being here. Plumpy Lamp, I've been playing with color lately, trying to find gross hues, something like ugly purples and reds, think zombie flesh. A big problem I keep running into is my mixes turn out brown. Any suggestions? So brown is one of those ugly hues, don't you think so? But if you get brown, that means you're probably using too much red and yellow. You probably need to introduce a bit more blue to the mix. And if you want it to be purple, so a bit more red too. So just go easy on the yellow. If you want it to be green, go easy on the red. But you're missing the blue. That's usually what happens when you just get brown. Now, what I would try is maybe a different blue, or a different red or a different yellow. If you can't produce a neutral gray that is not a brown, you maybe need to replace one of your primary colors. That can happen. Brenda Zonneveld. As a beginner, you are overwhelmed with different tips, techniques to start as a beginner. At the moment, I really don't know. Do you have a good advice? You don't need more advice. You need to just paint. That's exactly the point. That you answered your question, you know? That's sometimes it's fascinating how the answer is at the body of the question, as they say, you know, you're overwhelmed with different tips. You don't need more. You don't need more advice. Just paint. Just paint. Choose a photo you like and paint it. See what happens. See what you enjoy. See what frustrates you or what you don't feel is comfortable with, you know? That's my advice for you. Ellen, I'm new to your channel, just here to support. Thank you so much, Ellen. I really appreciate it. Do you paint? Do you sketch? Do you draw? Let me know. Sumaya, hi. How do I progress in watercolor? I feel like I'm stuck and not progressing. Also, what is the best blending technique? So I actually have a video on blending technique. That's just a technique. You give it a go. You'll figure it out. Look for edge control or blending in watercolor. The video is actually titled "The Hardest Watercolor Technique." You'll find it. It's one of the most viewed videos on this channel. So if you just go to videos and search and filter by popular, sort by popular, you'll see it first row probably, first line, row. As for the first question, which is a good one, how do I progress? I feel like I'm stuck and not progressing. I will probably need more detail than that, but that feeling of being stuck, again, you need to probably look at reality clearly. Like, in what way are you stuck? Do you produce things you don't like? Do you actually improve on a very practical level? Do you paint better works? If someone else looks at them, will they say, "Oh, you're progressing," but you just think it's too slowly, you know? And feel free to email me a bunch of paintings, and I can probably give you some more specific advice. But that feeling of not progressing, you may not practice enough. You may just be overly critical. You may just do the same thing over and over and over again. That's a very common thing people do. They just paint the same subjects, the same types of things, use the same types of colors, you know. Try mixing it up, maybe seeing what happens. Maybe something nice will happen. Maybe it will be the same, I don't know, but like something needs to change maybe in order to get it, in order for you to be happy. Either your perspective, if it's not really looking at reality clearly, or something practical you're doing that just doesn't work. Pam, excellent wisdom on down days. Yep. No labels. Yep. We talked about it yesterday. It's a good topic. Pierre, Plumpy never mix a cool with a warm as you're then mixing four colors and get brown. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you do mix a cool with a warm. Burnt sienna and French ultramarine, for example. Yeah, no, Matt. Andrea K. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to build muscle memory. So just keep painting when you are rusty. Yeah, that's actually also true. I would argue if you were, you know, if you had some skill, it will come back really, really fast. And funny enough, for me, I find it when I take a break, it's a good opportunity to try out something new. So I shut off all external influences. I try working in quiet without music. That works for me. I don't know, you need to test it out, but and I just focus on the tip of my brush and I really look at the way it travels on paper. And I use this as an opportunity to really submerge myself in the process. What I find is it's fresh because I'm not shackled by my bad, or not bad, by my habits. I'm not shackled by my habits, by other influences that used to get to me. I'm just more about doing, right? Usually in doing with peace of mind, there's a lot of strength and a lot of uniqueness and a lot of you that comes out, I think. Abby, how do you decide what colors to pick when painting landscapes? Is it more intuitive? So I usually use the same color scheme for pretty much everything I paint. You know, 2 versions of every primary color. You can paint everything with everything in theory. So I would say it's more about habits even rather than intuition. But sometimes it's funny. So for example, maybe I'll, you know, one time I did a plein air and I just didn't have the usual palette, so I was forced to use the one I had with me in my backpack, and it was fun. It broke my patterns. It was really interesting. It was a more chromatic pattern where I had like 4 reds and 4 yellows and 4 greens and 4 blues, like a bunch of everything, and I just used it freely. So I would say it's more of a habit, and I would say if you want to, you know, mix things up, try out using different colors than you're used to. It doesn't even matter what they are. Just try a different thing, you know. But yeah, it's more of about habit and some intuition. So Maya, any tips on glazing? Learn the basic technique and just practice it. One thing that's interesting to me, just I don't even know if it's a tip, but something I enjoyed in the past is experimenting with where to place the layers. So I find that if I glaze, let's say I have a 25% value. So if this is the lightest, this is the darkest, it's 25% of the way light. So it's light, blue, and a yellow. If I first put the yellow, let it dry. Put the blue, it's actually going to look different than if I first put the blue, then put the yellow. So the order of layers actually changes things, So it's just another cool example of how experimentation can take you in many interesting places. Would you know that based on guessing? No, I know that because I tried it out. You try it out. Try it out many times. The general tips are allow it enough time to dry. If you're using cheaper paper, you need to work kind of fast to not reawaken the wash underneath it, unless that's what you want to do, which is usually not what people want to do. There are some best practices, but honestly, it's just about trying out the technique. But just be patient and let it dry. Use a hair dryer if you're really impatient like me, and but that's the gist of it, I would say. Michelle, do you have any feelings about sketching with a pen? I love it. I love sketching with a pen directly too. It's something I didn't do enough of lately, but it's something I love. I really enjoy. So Maya, what's the best way to create depth with watercolor? It would be the same way to create depth with almost any medium. So usually it will be done by values in colors. So stronger values up front, lighter values back. But here is where the human mind cannot be beat, because there's more than that. It's not just like a robot. I think AI could probably do that already, but it's not just about, okay, close, dark, farther, light. No, because sometimes your focal point will be midway through, not the closest, not the farthest, in the middle. And then maybe you'll want to use the stronger value in the middle and have a light value in the front and then a lighter value in the background, right? So there's some thought mixed into that. But that would be one value. Second one is going to be colors. Usually brighter, stronger colors in the front, muted, slightly paler colors in the back. That's kind of the basic of it. Now, one more thing that is relevant to no matter what medium you use is size. Size is a great way to create a sense of depth, and you don't need color to do that. So if you have a building that's really, if you paint a rural landscape and you have one like a beautiful mountain kind of village European style, you have a house that's close to you, it's large, and then the farther it goes, they're smaller houses, right? So that's another way of creating depth. Now, watercolor has one secret weapon that dry media don't have, and that is blending edges, doing smooth transitions. If you wet an area and then you go swoosh with the paint, you're going to get a smooth edge. So that's the one way that's very unique to watercolor. And you want to practice that technique too, because it's very fun, I think. Pre-wet and then do a swoosh of paint and look at it go and become a very smooth edge, which is just very fun. Richard, thanks for the heads up on the M. Graham Yellow Ochre. It's very versatile. Yeah, have you been using it? I love it. I love this color. Let's see here. I thought yellow ochre was a perfect base for ugly colors, but it's just a secret brown. Yeah, yellow ochre does that. Yellow ochre will completely get rid of any chance of you producing a dark, like very dark, cool. I would try out something like a lemon yellow, or even an Indian yellow, New Gamboge, kind of like that would work better. Actually, what do you think is the yellow ochre of the cool spectrum? Nothing really. Nothing really. It would be, because yellow ochre isn't necessarily that warm either, but it's just very yellow. Yeah, I would say nothing. Just use the lemon yellow. That would be the closest, I think. Lemon yellow is very versatile too. Just make sure it's transparent because it will give you more versatility. And I don't know if it's... Is it usually transparent? I'm not sure, actually. Yo, hello, just wanted to say thank you. Your video about 3D and rotating cubes helped me a lot to understand the topic. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear. What's your profile pic? Is that... I thought in the beginning it was like My Hero Academia, but I know it's probably not. I'm curious to see. It looks awesome. Mickey or Mikey. Hi, Liron. Have you considered giving live critiques on your channel? Feedback on my illustrations would be really useful, I think. Yeah, we did a few of those. I can do that. We can do another one again soon. Definitely. I'll do like an announcement and you send them over and then we'll do it. Yeah. Sherry. It's Sherry. Sorry I'm late. First timer from North Carolina, I guess. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. First time live. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. It's fun. We're having fun on the live streams. I just wasn't sure how good my setup is going to be. So once again, we're doing a simple kind of questions and answers kind of chat because I still need to get the whole painting. My painting area is really good for filming right now. Can you see this? I have a new arm for the desk. It's really good. It's not so good for streaming. So I need to figure that one out. Now I can just bring this camera over there, but then I have to figure out how to show myself. I actually bought what's called a capture card, so I can use my camcorder that you saw over there as a webcam. So that will make things a lot easier. And then I can just rotate this camera, show myself, and show the painting process. It will happen. Laura, it is a new disability that is affecting my painting abilities. Fine motor skills are lost. Oh, okay. That's a completely different story. So that's interesting. So first off, I'm sorry to hear losing like motor skills. That has to be rough and it has to be frustrating. Now, is it both hands? Can you do something with the other hand? Because even if it's not your strong hand, I actually think you should be able to train it to be as good. I heard of many people who have done that, interestingly enough. Now, if it's both hands, I'd say it sucks. I recognize that, but you have to kind of work with what you got. So I would use this as an opportunity to explore different techniques and approaches. And that's the essence of creativity. So I think you have an opportunity here to try something really, really innovative. And I don't know exactly what it is. And of course, I'm not in your position, and I could never probably understand it, like at this point in time, what it means and what you're going through. But I think it's a unique opportunity to try something different. So you can do a lot of things to counter the need for fine motor skills. And I have seen people do that. Whether it's shaky hands or worse, I think it could be interesting. So the first thing that comes to my mind actually is, can you do a full painting wet in almost a way that would feel like you're looking at the scene through a window pane that's wet by rain? So it's a bit blurry even. But when you look at it from afar, it actually looks a little realistic. That was, I don't know why, that was where my mind went when you first said that. I would try it out. Now, if you want to shoot me an email and let me know the details, I'd love to maybe see if I can help in a way. But I think it could be an interesting opportunity to try something different and to create something unique that's like the most unique of your own. So I hope that provides some encouragement. Of course, it will depend on the extent to which you're limited by that, right? Because it can be very limiting. But send me an email if you don't want to, share it here or whatever. I'm curious to see, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I can give you some more direction. Very gentle direction though, because I think it's about you discovering it. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear, and I hope it doesn't influence other areas of life too much. Yeah, it's probably hard. Yeah, sorry. Pierre, I stand corrected. I'm not being self-deprecating, but I painted two of the worst paintings ever yesterday. Unbelievable. Good. That's a good day. You painted two paintings. That's good. Alex, what brush size are you using on A5 size paper? So I'll have to Google real fast because I'm not even sure what an A5 is. Is it smaller than A4? I think it's smaller, right? Yeah, 6 by 8 inches. Oh yeah, so it would be this size. The one I just showed you probably this is 6 by 9, so very close. So I used mostly, I think, my Barocco. So that would be a 16 or 14, 16. That was the exact brush I used for a lot of this process. Can I force you to focus, camera? No, I can't. Never mind. I don't want to do it manually. So I use mostly a 16, and then I bring also a bit of 6 here. Use this too. I love how it focused once I did it fast. So yeah, I would say somewhere in that range. 16, 14 would be good. 10, 6. This should work well. New Gambos, it's hideous. I love New Gambos. Sorry, Raymond. Any ideas on varnishing? No, varnishing a watercolor painting. I actually consulted with the frame person here locally in our new city. He said he didn't. So far, he haven't met anyone who does successful watercolor varnish. I have heard of some solutions before, not ones that I was courageous or proactive enough to try. It should be possible, I guess, but I couldn't find a good enough solution. Now, framing with a glass is usually how they're finalized. If you're worried about weight and it breaking, then you could use what do you call that thing? Not fiberglass. I forgot the word for it. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot it. But it's like a plasticky material that still looks like glass. It's, yeah, I wouldn't just put it without anything because then water is very dangerous. I don't have a good solution actually. Unfortunately, sorry. Sumaya, any suggestions on making your paintings pop? Usually pop is created by contrast. So if you get a strong contrast, whether it's values, so light versus dark, or color, right? Strong saturated color, or better yet, temperature. So when you look at even pop art, it has a lot of blues and yellows, reds and greens, right? These colors that there are opposing sides of the color wheel tend to create a very poppy impression. That's what I would do it. That's how I would try it out. Left Harris, it's been a while, right? Thank you so much for being here. In which order do you recommend upgrading your tools to artist quality? Paper, brush, color? I mean, what should I upgrade first? Paper first, I would say. And then if your brush really annoys you, I would say brush. But if you're okay with the brush, if it's a simpler one and you got used to it, it works fine, color and then brush, because color is what makes your painting together with paper, right? So that's a more inherent part of your painting. It's your painting, actually. It is paint. So I would say this: paper, paint, brush. If your brush really annoys you, first brush, then paint, right? If you plan on selling, I would definitely upgrade the paint to something that is light, fast, fully, because then it's not going to change. Your customer is going to be happy for years to come. That's what I'd say. And thank you for being here. Pierre Rossi had a pretty wild. One of the caput mortem is one of my most hated in terms of like how muddy it can get things and how not unevenly, but how much it dries different. Caput mortem. That's the color for you. Let's see if I can turn on the light if it's necessary, because it's still pretty well lit. Yeah, we don't need it yet. I'll turn it on later if necessary. At least I have a comfortable light setup now. Like babies. Like babies, yeah, I know, poop. Monica J, how do you avoid much details? I get lost in detail. Yep, that's what I talk about in the frustration-free watercolor course. This is the time for a plug. The thing is, It's interesting because I answered this question so many times before. I'm trying to think like what would be an actually original answer and not just repeating the same thing. Um, Getting lost in the details. One thing you can do is I have a video on simple big shapes. One thing you can do is look that up and paint like that. Like force yourself to see the entire painting as one or two shapes. One artist that does this incredibly well is Mark Foley. So he'll fill in a huge area with wet paint and do some wet and wet. What's that noise? Is that a dog? Or a baby? I don't know. But he'll do like a big shape and he'll use a lot of. Actually, there is a process of his. Let's look at the process. This would be interesting. Let's do that. I will show you. Why not? So here is my YouTube. Let me show you. It's a good opportunity. Mark Foley. A lot of people recommended. I watched one of his processes and I have, and he's really, really good. This is a perfect demo for that. So I'm gonna shut the ad. Go. Thank you. Another ad. Go full screen in a moment. Oh no, it's a Ferrero Rocher ad. I hate that. Give me a second, because this is an important point actually. So I think it will be good to show you that way. Okay, so Mark Foley, let's go full screen. So here it is. Now the way he does it is big shapes covering everything. Now it's not just an underpainting that you see here, because you will see here the way he paints that tree and merges it with the background. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but this is all wet paint, right? It's all wet paint that we're seeing right now. Why is the quality? That's the maximum quality. Oh man, that's terrible. Let's see here. See, all of this is one wash, one wet wash. If you're able to do that, I want you to interpret the entire scene. Really challenge yourself to think, how can I interpret a scene as one or two big shapes? No details in that. Everything is wet. Okay, so that's kind of what I had in mind. I really wanted to share with you because it's been a while since I've been asked this question, and it really is big sticking point for many people. The solution is quite simple, actually. Pierre, I have a confession. I don't know how to tell if warm or cool. Is this subjective? It's very relative. It's very relative. So sometimes a color can look very cool in one context and very warm in another context. And that's the problem with labels in general. So instead of trying to find a label, here's a better suggestion. Why not just learn to work with your intuition and learn how to get this highlight to look cooler because it's really blue, or even this one better yet, to look cooler than the shadows that are warmer, right? So instead of saying this is 70% warm or 60% cool or whatever, learn to work intuitively with warm and cool colors. Best way to do that is, again, experimentation is the key to everything. But yeah. So Maya, what's your best way of creating light? Values. Values. Have dark, have light. Just like Mark Foley showed you, where you paint one big shape, think what could be a big shape of shadow. And then everything that you leave behind lighter is going to be light. The stronger the contrast is, the stronger the light is going to appear. So if you have a portrait that has a well-lit side to the face and then a dark background behind it, it's going to look light, it's going to look poppy, all of those good stuff, Pairing white subjects is a challenge for me, like a white rose. That's actually painting, you mean, probably. That's actually easier. Again, you have contrast. The challenge is when you have tons of nuances and value. Take the photo, simplify it in Photoshop, turn it black and white, posterize it, have a dark background to that white rose. It will be much easier. Much, much easier. I'm telling you. Hey, Marina, how are you? Sally, by the way, Marina, I think you're the one who got the painting I showed you earlier. Is that correct? I'm not sure. Let me see here. I make a complete mess, but I think where I did a special thing on Instagram. I think you got this one, right? I'm not even sure. Let me know. I mean, sorry if I'm confusing you with someone else, but I think it's funny because like I always see you in the live streams, and I'm super grateful for you being here. But just now I kind of made a connection because I showed the painting earlier. Sally, any suggestions on doing plein air faster? I go with a group and they finish, and I barely get to the paint part. Ooh, you want a good one? Are you ready for a good one? Are you doing any pencil sketches? Don't sketch, just paint. If you're not fast enough, first off, they need to wait. I mean, it's not nice if they go super fast. But I did have this. I experienced this before. It happens usually when the person puts too much work into drawing. Don't draw. Just paint. Paint it as you see it. Just do a horizon line. Paint the rest. I'm telling you, give it a try. If it's in urban settings, just do a horizon line, like blocks. One block is a building. That's it, and go for it. That's the key, in my opinion, and it will bring out something really nice, I think, from you. Something really fun that you haven't thought of trying before. Yes, a live critique. Yeah, I may do that again in the near future. Esha, sir, how should I start a paint as a beginner to understand perspective and composition, then color theory, then brush technique? One at a time. Just one at a time. That's so many different skills and so many different things you mentioned. I would start with simple shapes and composition. Stan Miller's videos are actually great for that. Start with the first lesson he has on his channel, and just take it from there. I think he has it structured in a very good way. But shapes and drawing, but very basic stuff, comes first. And then I would probably go over values, and only then colors. One at a time, the only way to learn. Pierre, I used new Escoda brushes yesterday. I hated them. I'm going back to flat brushes. Maybe you're just not cut out for round. Is it round, pointy brushes? Maybe you just like flat brushes. What Escoda brushes did you try, by the way? Because I love all of mine. Yeah, plexiglass. Thank you. Yeah, that was the thing. Plexi. But he didn't call it plexiglass. He had something else. What was it? I can't remember. Maybe it's a Hebrew word, and I just can't remember it off the top of my head now. Uni Dickens, hello. I am Uni from Ohio. I am planning to go to art school next year. I want to ask, this is a good idea to go to art school, and I'm just into watercolor painting. The answer could be either yes or no, depending on what else you want to do. So even if you're just into watercolor, you may want to do something where an art degree may help, right? Connections sometimes from schools help. A bunch of stuff can help you in art school. If you just want to be a watercolorist, and you want to build a business around your paintings, I don't know if you'll gain anything too useful, other than, of course, expanding your artistic horizons, right? If you want to do that, that's very useful. But yeah, I didn't go there, so I can't compare the two experiences, obviously. And I haven't really talked to enough people who have formal education. The one thing I can say that I see a lot is people usually don't get what they expect to get. They get sometimes things that they didn't expect to, and it's a pleasant surprise, but sometimes not so much. It really depends on what you want to do. If you're business oriented, I don't think so. If you want to be an artist in some kind of industry, yes, probably more useful and probably necessary in many jobs for some reason. Thank you. Yes, probably Flexi. Thanks, Liron. I'm thinking this is the opportunity to loosen up my style. I will email you. Awesome. I will look at that. Yes, indeed. I'm curious to hear more. Mark Folia's got another Liron introduction. So generous. Yeah, no, I mean, he's awesome. So yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. I hope you like it. John Callahan cartoons. He was paralyzed and could basically only flip his wrist around slowly. Yeah. Michael Reardon is a great example with shaky hands. One thing, by the way, I forgot to mention, Laura, one thing that can help if you lack accuracy is to paint larger, because then the margin of error becomes larger too. Completely forgot to mention that. That's really big. My message got deleted for some reason. You asked me about my profile pic. It's Seth from a manga called Radiant by Tony Valente. Oh, I don't even know that. Radiant manga. Huh. Oh, oh, they actually call it manfra, like French manga is called manfra, like Korean is called manhwa. Oh, that's so funny. That is so. I had no idea. That's cool. That looks good. Very dynamic. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. Is it just in French actually? I'm sure I can find it in English. Oh, so it was actually published by Asuka Shinsha. Asuka Shinsha. Okay, cool. That's really, really cool. Awesome. Javi Jev, how are you? Thank you so much, my friend, for being here. PR Travel Ones. Oh, really? I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, I really like mine. What set did you get? Did you get a set or one single collapsible one? Let me know. Massimo, what do you think about Skoda Perla? This was a Perla, the one I showed you earlier. Right? Am I correct? Yes. Oh no. Oh yeah. Was this a Perla? I think it was. Yeah. I like them generally speaking. I do have one issue with this particular brush. You want to see the issue? That's not how it's supposed to work. Let me show you. That's how it's supposed to work. See this? But this falls apart. And this is the only one I had it happen to, which is unfortunate. And they did send me like 12 brushes just to test them out. So I'm super grateful. And it's not even that big of an issue because once it's wet, it sticks really well. But it does loosen up. Like one time I did drop it, which was a disaster for the painting. But I could probably just grab a plier and press it and it should be okay. But that was the only one that I had a real issue with. The rest were really good. I'm sorry to hear that you don't like them. But yeah, you wanna check out some processes? Let's look at some stuff. I don't know. I'm curious. Let's see what people upload in the watercolor sphere. If I search for watercolor, I just saw a video. 3 watercolor masters you should follow and why. Let's check it out, shall we? By Emily Olsen. Emily Olsen Art. I'm familiar with her channel. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I'm not subscribed. That's strange. Let's see. I'm still getting used to the fact that this is a PC and not a Mac. Having a hard time still. Let's see what artists she talks about. That's actually interesting. Let me share the audio too.
Some sort of craft. We all need role models, people whose
Oh, I think I know who that is. Wait just a second. Let's see. Will we see names?
inch of flawless watercolor technique. I would just art gallery emotional
I need a label with a name.
and he was a mad.
Who is he?
Passed away in 20.
Okay, Steve Hanks. So am I familiar with Steve Hanks? I'm not sure actually. Steve Hanks. Steve Hanks watercolor. Oh, that's really, really good. So I wasn't even familiar with him.
2015.
So I discover new things every day.
Career as a water.
So let's mute now that we know who it is and look at some art. That's crazy. That's really, really good. Wow. This was really interesting, this one. I don't know, I just had this video randomly open on another tab, so I thought it would be fun to look at. Wow, that's crazy. That's so good. So like to paint something like this, here's one thing that I think to paint this, you can't really paint like Alvaro Castanet and Joseph Zbukvic. You can't go loose impressionistic. I'm sure the way he painted this was very, stages. Now you could do a wash that covers the whole page, the whole paper, very likely, but later on you have to really separate things, and you can really tell that around here, around the bushes here on the top left, and just in part, you have to work section. Same for the rails. Like this looks like it was a part of a first wash. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting. Now let's see what else you're saying here. Yes, you can find it in English. Viz Media released it. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you follow Arlie Bean? at all. Love her portrait work. So let me check. I'm actually not sure. Arlie Bean. I think I know who that is. Let's see here. I'm typing on a normal, regular old keyboard. I'm so used to my Mac. Oh, that really reminds me of someone else I know. Arlie Bean. What does it remind me of? I forgot her name, but I did a painting masters on her. Can't believe I forgot her name. Wait, let me check. Now I'm curious. Uh, was it Ashley or am I? Man, my memory. Not Ashley. Ellie Kavanaugh. It reminds me of Ellie Kavanaugh. Arlie Bean. I think I know this artist. I think I follow them. I think so. I'm not sure. Skoda's so expensive in Australia. Yeah, that makes sense. They're expensive everywhere. They're really expensive here. Sumaya, is it possible to be? Let me get rid of this for now. We'll go back to the video if you want to. Is it possible to be a self-taught watercolor artist without any art school or experience, just by practicing on your own and figuring everything out by yourself? Well, as luck would have it, we have me in the room. Yeah, I'm like that. I learned everything by myself. Do I think some people will benefit from art school? Probably. Do I think some people would not have ever reached the level they do without art school? Yes, that is a very strong possibility. So it's very individual, I think. For me personally, I don't feel like I needed it. I feel like all the information is out there. There is something to maybe working with very experienced teachers that know how to push you to do things that are maybe very challenging to you personally. Um, but yeah, I don't know. For me personally, I never felt like I needed it. Now I want to look at the fans for the. Is it the motherboard? What am I even looking at? I'm looking at my computer. I have no idea what I'm looking at. You know, maybe let me move this. The internet thing is. I don't want it to block the vent. I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's crazy. Let me show you. Now it will focus probably because I'll hold it up close. That looks so bad on camera because there's a glass and reflections, but this looks so good. It looks so good from where I'm sitting without the window reflections. That's cool. That is really, really cool. Now, do I have two hard drives there? I didn't even remember I bought two. That's so funny. I didn't even go to like my computer or however you call it. I forgot how Windows works. It's crazy. Let me check this out. I don't know why. Now I'm curious. I don't even have a my computer link. Is that not how Windows works anymore? Oh, let's see. Okay. This computer, local disk. So I only have one. So I wonder what the oh, it's the memory. I think. Never mind. No, I'm so bad with computers. You have no idea. Some people think I'm good. I'm not. Let's see. Pierre. Wow. Alvaro lives near me. I wonder if he'd like some lessons from me. But you could do a lesson with him if he does. I don't think he does any private lessons unless you become buddies. I think he's more into the workshops and painting for himself. It's funny. Michelle, have you seen the art of Bob Dylan? Like literally the Bob Dylan? Bob Dylan paintings. Hmm. I don't think I have. What I have seen is Charles the Third's. Charles is he the third? The new king, I guess. Um, Charles. Yeah, Charles the Third. I have seen his watercolor. I know it's not completely unrelated, but no, Bob Dylan. I think maybe I've seen one of them. That's really really good. Wow. Okay, I have to. I'll just share it with you. That's really really good. Let me see. Share screen. Um, I'll just share it. I think I can just show that. Or no, wait. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So, yeah, this is really, really good. This one in particular. Some of them are very depressing. So wait, this is this. Oh, so is this a Bob Dylan painting? Is this the same Bob Dylan? I had no idea he paints. I just now, I think, realized that. Or is it a different Bob Dylan? Watercolor acrylics. His watercolors are amazing. Yep. So let's search for what this is so far is my favorite because of that, foggy areas. This is really good. Let's see, Bob Dylan. Why am I typing this again? Watercolors. Very interesting. Much less representational than my typical style. Oh, that's nice. But wait, that's someone else probably that made this? This one caught my eye. This one too, of course. This is really, really good. I don't know. I have a tendency to click everything I see. This is really good. Wow. Oh, Neman, how are you? Hello from Sfat. Hi from Argentina. Hey, hi Pablo. How are you? It's been a while, I think, since I saw you on the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Let me remove this for now. How have you been? Hope everything is going well. Michelle, Dylan does. Oh yeah, okay, we read that one. That's awesome. I didn't even remember. I'll believe self-taught when I see it. Why did we get seduced by the hardest painting format? Yeah, you can be self-taught but take lessons. You don't have to go to art school. You can just go and take lessons from your favorite painters, and that'll be actually a much faster way to learn and improve, I think. So yeah, I never really took one-on-one or workshop. What I did do was learn from videos mostly. But yeah. Heather, did you ever look up Dylan Pierce's work? Amazing, but he's so meticulous. I regressed back into perfectionism while in his workshop. Micro and what's amounts of work at a time? Micro amounts of work at a time in each of many, many layers. Interesting. Dylan Pierce. I think I know who that is. Wait, I think I know who that is. Let's see. Oh no, I was confusing him with someone else. I know his work. Yeah, I've seen his channel too. That's so good. Yeah, that is amazing. I actually confused him with someone else. That's really good. I've seen, I believe, one of his processes. Yeah, that's amazing. You know who I confused him with? There's this guy who does. Let me find it. Wait a second. There's this guy who does very realistic watercolors on YouTube. Watercolor realistic painting. Puts my realism to shame. Let's see here. And he does videos showing really short parts of his process because it's so long, Lesson Cityscape. Let's do Cityscape. I don't know if I'll be able to find him. Maybe you can tell me who that is. Like really hyper realistic. Maybe I should search. Oh, is it Brenner Finer? No. That's not the person. Wait, that's not the person. Maybe I need to search for hyper realistic. Hyper. No, I can't find it right now. Oh, I think Darren Reed. Wait, Darren Reed. No, it's not Darren Reed because the person I'm talking about has a channel. I don't know. It's okay. Well, find it some other time. Oh, I think it's him, Steven Kozar. Yeah, that's the person. Okay. I'm gonna show you. So this guy is as meticulous as it gets. Wait, I have to show you this. Dylan Pierce is amazing too, really. Okay, so he has a channel and he's showing his process. Wait a second. I need to re-add the tab. I hope you don't mind. We're doing something a little different. There we go. So this guy, he is insanely skillful. I just want to go to a spot where this is a painting, right? So he paints. It'll look super realistic in the end. And it's, I don't know how you get there. It looks hyper realistic, actually. Just slowly, meticulously, you know. Yeah, that's cool. I learned something new today. Wait, what is watercolor the most difficult medium? I don't know. It's impossible to say for sure what's the most difficult medium, and it's probably personal too. Some people have an easier time with one medium, other people have an easier time with another medium. Pierre, you also introduced me to Skip Lawrence. He blew my mind. I stare and stare at them, and I don't know how he does it, despite having his shadow and light. Yeah, light and shadow book. Yeah, he's amazing. Bob Dylan does great realistic watercolors. That's cool. Massimo, do you like Thomas Scheller? Is far from your style, maybe too much architectural? Actually, in the grand scheme of things, Thomas Scheller isn't that different from my style, even though we're completely different. But yeah, no, I love a lot of his work. What he does is he lets and I did a painting masters on him too, which you can watch. He lets and yes, that's canvas, Sally. That's canvas. Yeah. Sometimes he paints on paper too, but this one in particular, I think, is a canvas. Yeah. I think he lets the drawing dictate the watercolor. So sometimes he'll play around with the contrasts so that the values aren't realistic or true to the source. He'll go much darker sometimes or much lighter, but it has very good structure because of the drawing. Of course, he has experience as an architect. I guess his work is very polished, you know, in terms of the architectural components and perspective accuracy. His people are amazing too. So yeah, very different from my style. I like my own style better, which is good because I think everyone should like their own style better. Heather says Dylan worked at Chris the Domizio's art school for 10 years. Wow, I had no idea. Yeah, yep, indeed, on a canvas. Yes, I think we'll soon move towards wrapping it up. I do want to check out. There is one more video of Steven Kozar that I would love to show you, painting a neon sign. That was really, really interesting. Yeah. So let me find that particular video. Skip the ad. Yeah, okay. This is fascinating. And it does look like a canvas. So if you look at the way he works on that sign, just step by step, super slowly. That's honestly, if you want to do something that's hyper realistic, that's what it will take. There's no way around it. You know, you have to actually paint those details carefully. And even artists like Misolbu, who do very realistic portraits, they still work sometimes in a very focused, narrow way in one area. Now, this is a little different from a portrait because there are just a lot of individual shapes that you kind of have to paint in, unlike a portrait where there are a few shapes in the shadows and in the light. But that's a part of it. And if I skip ahead, let's say go through all the way here, you see it gets more pronounced the more he darkens that area around it. But it's very hard. This is one of the radiant light is one of the hardest things to paint in watercolor because it's that kind of light where, you know how you have a dark background and a candle, so the area around the candle makes the dark background look lighter, almost makes it look like what you see here, these areas of that red that is radiating out of the letters. That's very hard to do in watercolor. It's much easier to do digitally. You just hit a button, and you lighten it up. but it's very hard to do with watercolor. So the way he does that is very tedious too. That's kind of the process you have to go through. And if you have the patience and the desire, that's what you do. And he's amazing. He's really, really good, really interesting. And his results are wow. Let me find another one. I'm gonna yawn. Excuse me. I'm a bit tired. I don't know why. Sort by most popular. I want to see. And he even mentions he's painting extreme details. Like, okay, check this out. This is so tedious, Gotta build it up slowly. And you can't be like me, impatient, and try and run towards the end finished result. One of the things I love is to put the final, what is it, like the way the paint is gonna look like in its final form. If I can get away with putting it down immediately, I love that kind of a thing. But it's very hard to do when you paint like this. So yeah. Maybe your style is similar to Dean Mitchell, which I like. Yeah, everyone's so different. Dean Mitchell, yeah, I like his work a lot. I think that's a huge compliment, is it not? Dean is, yeah, he's incredible. I'm nowhere near that. His colors, he's so good. Like, I have a painting masters episode on Dean Mitchell. I have to show you some paintings. He's one of the most amazing watercolorists I've ever seen, honestly. His paintings aren't loose necessarily, but they are loose. Like, look at those trees, I think that's, to me, when I look at his work, it's like the perfect balance between realism and looseness. The highest degree of that, because it's not like the previous example of what we've seen, was very painstakingly painting small details. There is some flow in the shapes, but it's hyper realistic, probably almost hyper realistic. Look at this one. The colors are so good. Of course, there's not just watercolor. I love his acrylics and oils, everything. Look at that. So good. And this has nothing to do necessarily with technique. It's the way he interprets the subject. He's way more than just skilled with the medium. He is brilliant when it comes to the plan, the vision. It's incredible. It's just incredible. I love the subjects too. They're so captivating. Here he is. The myth, the legend. Look at this one. I think I showed this in the Painting Masters episode. Look at this one. I want to see more people. Let's see Dean Mitchell people. That's amazing, amazing. These I love as well. Like the looser interpretations, they're still quite realistic. Of course, I'm biased towards watercolors. That's probably my favorite style of his. Not style, but medium of his. Wow, it's amazing. Let's see. This was one we saw earlier. It's just amazing. Amazing. Absolutely love it. What can you say? What can you say? That's how Dylan works too, but I never saw his hand move so quickly, and his one ball of water is perfectly clear at the end too. That's interesting. Pierre, I don't see the point of hyperrealism in watercolor. It's so beautifully expressive, translucent, catching, mercurial. Oh, I love mercurial. That's a nice word. I haven't heard that in a while. Moments in time. Yeah, it's a matter of taste. You know, I get the whole desire to strive to create something perfect, like hyper realistic. You know, of course we have cameras, but still, it's not the same. Will never be the same. Lifters, thanks, Liron. Glad to be here. Have you ever attended a workshop with someone of the masters? No. So yeah, here in Greece, it's difficult, and I was wondering about how it would be to attend. I never attended a workshop. Do you know that website, Seamless? Oh, let's see if I can find it. Um, Seamless Creation. I think I forgot the name. Seamless Creation Watercolor Workshop. If you want to know what the experience is like, because I never went to a workshop, Seamless Expression, my bad. So there's this person. Let me show you. Share. So I don't even remember his name because it's not really written anywhere here. But in any case, this person, Seamless Expression, he has the, let's see, Seamless Expression, Joseph Zbukvich. There we go. Okay. So, and I think if we go to the bottom, maybe I should search for workshop. Seamless Expression, darn, Hebrew workshop. Man, this is annoying. Hebrew is right to left, which is just super annoying with English, just so you know. Workshop reviews. There we go. So you have Alvaro Castanet, you have Bjorn Bernstrom, you have Chen Chung Wei, Joseph Zbukvich. So just an example, you go here and you get to see what the experience was like. Sorry, it took me ages to figure out how to show it, but he took pictures. He did so much there. He shows his own paintings from the workshops, which is really, oh no, that's not the thing I need. Part 2. Showing what he teaches, his kind of trying thing. That's Bookfitch, right? Do we see his attempts? I don't know. But yeah, you can see and get a really good impression of what doing a workshop is like. This website is really, really good. Seamlessexpression.com. Just go there and you'll see tons of workshop reviews. And he did a lot of workshops with many artists. Oh, sorry, you didn't see any of the things I showed you because it opened it up in a new tab. That's super annoying. I can't believe it didn't show it. Let me change it. 1 second. 1 second. We're not going to give up. There we go. Share. Sorry about that. My apologies. Here you can see the experience. And it's really fascinating. And he shows also sometimes, again, what he himself painted in the workshop and kind of the tips he got. So yeah, that's a good way of kind of figuring out, you know, if it's something you want to go through and seeing what other people are going through and seeing some demos that are workshop that you probably won't see in many other places because the artists, they don't share sometimes every single demo they do. So yeah, I never attended any workshop for that matter, not here, not with any of the masters. I did buy a couple of DVDs that I looked at and learned from, but that's pretty much it for me. I wish I had a better, you know, better answer from a personal, more experience. Pierre, I stand corrected again. Yep. Esha, how to leave white space in a loose painting? Oh, you just have to You just have to practice it. It's not easy. That's something that challenged me a lot in the beginning. But like everything else, even if it seems impossible at first, you will be able to do it after practice. Trust me. But yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do at first, I'll admit. Josie wants suburb away. That's funny. Do you know Vladislav Yeliseyev? Actually, no, I don't think so. Vladislav Yeliseyev. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. Very focal point, and then the rest is loose. I haven't looked at other artists in so long because I just want to do my thing, you know. And I find that if I look too much, clouds my judgment, let's say. Gina, how are you? Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for being here. Nancy G, thanks to Liron and everyone for sharing. Great chat, brightens my week. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think we can move towards wrapping it up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments if you watch this afterwards, or if you can't think of one now, that's okay. It's been fun. Slowly going back to business. Look at the colors. Oh, crap. It switched. It was a nice spread. Slowly going back to business. I'm actually hoping to improve the setup in a way that I can film simultaneously with a couple of cameras so that I don't have to do much editing afterwards. So I'll film my face with this one, the painting stage with that one, and everything will work together and kind of record it like this. Would be really, really a game changer for me in terms of my work process. But you can also expect some wobbly content schedule in the next couple of weeks because I'm gonna have to get used to this new setup. Just to give you an idea, when I post things on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, what I do is I'll scan a painting and then I'll airdrop it to my iPhone from my Mac and share it from my iPhone. I can't airdrop anything to a PC, and that's something I used to do like 5 times a day so far. So it's gonna take some getting used to, but hopefully I'll be able to. Book good for watercolor painting for beginners. Oh, I actually don't have a good recommendation, I think, for that. Couldn't find one that's good specifically for beginners, for techniques. Videos for me all the way. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, Gina. Sorry that it was just near the end. We talked about a bunch of stuff, and we looked at some other artists' paintings, and we talked about a lot of mental blocks and stuff like that. That I hope you'll enjoy listening to. And yeah, I hope you're doing well. I think it's been a while since we talked, right? Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Esha, for being here. No, you got it. It's my pleasure, really. Thank you, Pierre. Yeah, I have a long way to go, but I'm hoping that you can learn from my experience. Plumpy thank you so much. Always a good time. And once I log out of the stream, I'm gonna enjoy this new setup and start, downloading the software I need and everything. It's gonna be fun. Chris, thank you for barely made it to say hi, but here you go. You're in the live stream. And lifters, of course. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. There will be a video. No, I think there will not be any more videos. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Zapak. There will be no more videos this week, I think, but probably next week. Maybe if I do decide to post, go back to Apple. Maybe if I do decide to post the processes I've showed you here of the perspective and people, maybe I will post it. I filmed it. I just filmed it. I said, I'll film the process. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe I won't. So maybe I'll decide to use it. We'll see. But for now, thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. Couldn't do this without you. And yeah, if you want to learn watercolor, check out the courses, of course. If you want to just support me, check out the Patreon. Really appreciate it. Everything helps me do this and continue doing this and teaching as much as I can. I'm going to figure out the new setup, aka StarCraft. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.